Hello and welcome to my top 3 least lore accurate campaigns in Total War Warhammer 2. I'm Nerdrich Fred and this is my list that I made after spending copious amount of time reading the books, knowing the lore and having over 4,000 hours on legendary difficulty in Warhammer 1 and 2. Number 3 on the list is Wulfric the Wanderer. I'm just going to state that this campaign is fun. Not on Legendary, because on Legendary without the beta that removed the supply lines, the campaign just feels broken, but it's got one of my favorite rosters in the game. I mean, Chaos Vikings are pretty lit, as the kids would say. At the start of the rants, I'm going to ask, where's this goddamn boat? For those of you who don't know about this boat, it essentially works like the ships do in Warhammer 40k. The boat itself is blessed by all the Chaos gods, and can travel freely into the Chaos realms, Hell, or the Warp, or whatever you want to call it, and come out anywhere you want to, which means you can go to the Tomb Kings or Old Neakara, and then just travel back, all in an afternoon. An example of this is where he teleports to Ultuan, completely bypassing the Shimmering fleets to beat up High Elves, murders a ton of them, he gets beaten up and then travels back. All as a day trip, really. Now, I know this sounds a little bit OP, but making a ride or something like that, maybe have a big cooldown, I mean, it can only be fun, right? It's one of those why not kind of things. It's just such a unique and completely bonkers campaign ability that'll make the monster runs less tedious. Yes, some of them are alright, but I mean, come on. The Warhammer 2 ones, it also fixed one of the biggest problems with the campaign, which is not being able to hold what you have. Yeah, late game you can beat up Chaos and get much cheaper stacks, but that's like at turn 80 or 100. You mean you're okay with starting the victory conditions for settlements that late? It's easily one of the lengthiest short campaign victories in the entire game. So have you checked how long Norsk is? It goes from the most western part of Bretonia to Carrick Ungol in the east. How are you supposed to protect that and patrol without the use of literal teleportation or insane amounts of extra armies to keep people from invading via the coastline? Because guess what? It's like 70% coastline! Now, instead of a warp traveling super boat of fun times, you get this. The lore of boats to be cast 3 times. Sometimes less, but the most 3 times we will move on land and have a crew of cheerleader Norskins attached to it as it plows through enemies. Fun, I admit, but not nearly as interesting as it could have been. And that brings us to number 2 on the list, the Warriors of Chaos. Yes, obviously when you talk about Chaos, the big bad and the one thing that is truly unique and iconic for the entire Warhammer franchise. Even if people haven't even played the games, read anything about it, most people still know the words blood for the blood god. I mean, in the lore it's unstoppable, hard to understand fully, infighting force of terror that is somehow endless and ever growing in the wastes. In the lore, the hordes of chaos always have vast number of mutants following them around, acting as fodder together with beastmen who will simply bow down to a champion who's way stronger than they are. In one siege in the Gothic and Felix books, a champion of chaos, not Archeon, but a champion of chaos, throws 10,000 beastmen at the walls. Not at the start of attack, but to see, how well the defenses hold up. This is a good example of how powerful they actually are. When they do reach city and conquer it, they will corrupt it. The city of Prague is still corrupted, with people just having memory problems, vision and hearing impairments, becoming frail, or simply becoming a mutant from staying within the walls. In the game though, you never feel like the big bad. You feel at most like the underdog who's finally being able to strike upwards, which later revolves in some weird kind of whack-a-mole thing, and endless one-sided sieges where you just try to strike them down fast enough to be able to get rid of the faction before they just rebuild absolutely everything. Which, by the way, does not count into the racing settlement victory condition. So if they do resettle, you can easily raise the same settlement over and over 20 times if you want to, and it'll only count as 1. A perfect example of the difference between tedious and actually being a challenge. In my opinion, they could have made Chaos Corruption way harsher to deal with, giving non-Chaos factions battle debuffs while fighting inside the corrupt area. Make them be able to have some Chaos Fortresses after they take over some settlement, like in the lore, or what Grimhammer does. You could have had a system similar to Eshin, where you could create rebellions which get close to settlements. In the lore, the biggest threat to the Empire before the end times is always from within, and from chaos cultists already within the cities. This is, by the way, why witch hunters are given so much power. Even though they seem harsh and unjust, they are 100% necessary. Bring in the mutants as well, the horrid wretches that has no other choice than to give their own life to Malice and the ruinous powers that be. Have them roam around the countryside, just follow your armies around, similar to how Bray herds work. I mean, the Bray herds don't work that well, but neither should mutants. They could just be this force that just runs around and just tries to destroy stuff on their own. Unruly and truly chaotic. In the end, there are so many improvements that can be made to this campaign itself that it simply just highlights what little was done with it from the get-go. And that brings us to number 1, Malice Darkblade. I love the series, and I think all DLC for Warhammer 2 has been better than the last. But as a long-time Malice fan who read the books a decade ago, I gotta say, they dropped the ball on this one. It's literally a book about a dude who at one point of the books uses lightning strike. He sees an enemy encampment and decides to attack them before they can get reinforcement, before he gets his reinforcements. I thought this would be easy to see and just set in, right? Well, anyway, he goes on a grand adventure across the world for some of the most powerful artifacts in the world while on time limits. Literally, they could have just had the Tomb King book style of searching system, but instead have this random quest system for good or pointless item. Kind of like if you're a streamer and the Twitch chat just says they will sub to you if you raise that settlement over there for no reason. Hey, go fight the orcs. Not only that, but also get this inane, keep this place for money or sell it for no reason. The money isn't that good, and the reason isn't that good either. I mean, it just feels like it's a system designed as something cool that they wanted to do, but had no link to the character whatsoever. This, tied with a system that tries to balance out a somewhat 7 out of 10 combat prowess with tediousness that just becomes this click once in a while mechanic. Imagine if they did this with the Forbidden Workshop or its next unique system, where they just gave you drawbacks at the same time, with constant minding on a single bar to see if you should click a button before or after a fight. Suddenly just gives you worse melee attack or no replenishments. In my opinion, they could have gotten rid of the penalties. Make it something that scales over the course of the campaign as Malice gets more items and completes more quests. Let's give him an arc and let him sail around where he needed to be. A mix of the Tomb King book hunting system, Norscan hunts quests. It would have been a grand adventure of a campaign, similar to Marcus Wolfart's adventure campaign on the Vortex. Now, not all campaigns need to be super hard challenge where you're in hostile lands that were never meant for you. You can be put in a bad place, but at least give them better tools to get out of there. Because otherwise the meta just evolves into the likes of that it is right now, which is to expand from Hag Reef and kind of ignore the islands. Or to just confederate him so you don't have to care about his faction mechanics, but guess this alright fighter anyway and cool character. Because he's still cool. People still like him. It's just the campaign, man. In a perfect world, Sia would have had more time and thought these through. Some of them feel extremely rushed. It feels like they go between, let's make this a really fun one, like with Ikis, and Malice, where they just go, we don't understand the character, but let's just try to balance this out. And it just feels like it goes between balance and super fun every DLC. Because clearly they read up about the character, what he is, what his, well, everything he has, but they never really understood why he was popular or why people liked the story. So it's just another Dark Elf. Could have might as well been Loki there and nobody would have noticed. There are obviously a lot of characters that could fit this list. The second most powerful Necromancer Arcan, for example. The demigod Orion that dies once per year. The man wearing a winter hat in the middle of the jungle. Wulfric. And many more. I get you can't always balance around the lore, but what I'm talking about is campaigns and campaign mechanics. In the end, I guess they are what they are, and I doubt any of these will be changed, though we can hope for that modders will adjust things we don't like. Total War has been a game series that I enjoyed since Shogun 1. I will very likely keep on enjoying unless CA decides to send a hate mail to me for this video. I only did this video so people can understand that some of these campaigns could have been more. And so that hopefully CA won't take the easy road with characters in the future either. But that's it for the video. If you liked the video and want more, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. I don't know why, but I'm fairly sure it's a YouTube thing that involves maths. So I'm sure that would help a lot. You can also find me streaming several times a week on my Twitch channel with the same name as this one. Stay hydrated.